Bang, bang. And the progenitor of memes is back. Full stride. 2021. We got it watermarked. Your boy, no crying in the casino. Your boy's the one who put that out there. We got the timestamps rippling through the cultural zeitgeist. I think I'm actually pretty trophied. I think I lay claim to probably 4 or 5, maybe even 6 of the top memes in this space, all originated from your boy. And the whole no crying in the casino meme that I launched, to give you the backstory, was a reference about the decentralized human experience as pathway to self-actualization. The reference was basically that in a casino, there are no referees. When you stunt fly in a Cessna or a fucking airplane and your tail spinning through the skyline doing backflips, there are no referees up there. When you backcountry ski, there's no referees over there either. And so the reference was, and it was somewhat of a takedown on MMA as pathway to self-actualization, because in MMA, even at the highest levels, you do have a referee. So that is a centralized experience. Do you understand? You are not going to die in an MMA fight in a cage because the referee will fucking intervene. In a casino, you can have your entire life riding on the spin of a wheel and no one's going to know the better of it. There's no one to stop you. You understand? You understand the dangerous nature of some of these activities. It's the decentralized experience. And so that's where no crying in the casino originated from. We're going to zip through here and just kind of comment on the current landscape a little bit. Kanye, the carnival barker, is back. And what I do want you to understand is that history does rhyme, it does not repeat. And what you're looking at here with good old Kanye is this is a facsimile of a character, a mob boss actually, who ran New York City in the 1980s, goes by the name of Vincent Gigante. And Kanye's shtick right now is a reappropriation of Vincent Gigante, which is, I've always said, the birds in life never change, but the feathers do. We're looking at the same birds, the same archetypes are soaring through the skies, but the feathers are just a little bit different. And Vincent Gigante is the man who started the schema of feigning insanity. He was a top capo, he was a top mafia boss in the 1980s. He was the kingpin of New York City. And this motherfucker would roam through the streets wearing a velour bathrobe, pajamas, bath cap, full garb, full ghillie suit, mumbling incoherently to himself, pretending that he was insane to basically get the feds off of his trail. And this all manifested from a deep paranoia that his phone lines were tapped, that his apartment building was bugged. And so for a decade, this guy would actually walk with a limp through the streets of New York City, dragging his femur behind him, pretending to be a fucking cripple, mute, low IQ, disfigured, discombobulated figure. And it worked. It worked. He kept everybody in abeyance for a very long time. And Kanye is pulling the same thing. If you think that Kanye has lost his mind, you are big boy tripping. This is 100% calculated. Kanye is well aware that life is very much an operatic Broadway spectacle. And what you have to understand is that at the advanced levels of the game, pretending to be insane is, in all likelihood, the greatest defense. Because he's doing is he's backing a lot of people off of him. He's pretending that he has a loaded gun, and he's just sputtering baffle gab off the ricocheting off the high walls of the cultural Thunderdome. And what that accomplishes is it creates this ambient effect that he is a wild card and that he's liable to divulge crippling information that could crumble a lot of these large power blocks in these elitist circles. You know what I'm saying? Because he's got a loose tongue. He's got a very loose tongue right now. And so he's backing people off who he's paranoid. This is a manifestation of paranoia, And the likeness to Mr. Gigante, the parallels are sinister because in all honesty, he is the capo of the music industry. You know what I'm saying? He's the mafioso of the music industry. And so this insanity defense, and I believe they called it the bathrobe defense, um, is a characteristic of people who get into these positions of power. Let me explain something to you. And a lot of people have missed this. Power is inversely correlated with freedom. Inversely correlated with freedom. Trump ain't got any freedom. Elon Musk has no freedom. You understand? The more powerful you become as a man, the less freedom you actually have. And it validates a theory as the neurons in my head have been whizzing around. I came to the conclusion recently that men, especially high achieving men, do everything in their power to migrate towards slavedom. Freedom, believe it or not, and this is the reason why the middle class gets so much flack, especially on these parts of Twitter, is because the middle class is truly free. I want you to put your feet up and I want you to really think about this. The middle class is the only free class there is because they're invisible. When you devote your life to steady income, no adventure, no thrill, no danger, you are an invisible entity. You are an apparition. And there is a monster, a colossal amount of freedom in wearing the invisibility cloak. There's no eyes on you. No one gives a fuck what you got to say. No one gives a fuck about your opinion. You can mosey on. You can mosey on through the wheat fields and no one's going to bother you. It's true freedom. And so when we take shots and we launch invectives at the middle class, what we're really doing is critiquing freedom, because we all know if you have a grand mission, like trying to become the president of the United States, we understand viscerally that having a mission that's that salient comes with a complete lack of freedom. We are literally abdicating our freedom for the mission. And so high achieving men always find a way to put their wrists in manacles. Do you understand? The highest achieving men on the planet currently all find very, very sneaky, clever ways to take away their own freedom. And by the way, this is going to be another hodgepodge type of slam poetry type of show where we just zip through topics that are unrelated, but they really are if you're sharp enough to put the pieces together. You know, average men every day, because I work with a lot of people, every day the people that blow my mind, that actually impress me, that sometimes make me take a step back in awe and shock and astonishment are ordinary, regular people. Ordinary, regular people, I believe, become the highest performers. Very bland, no discernible talent on the surface. Um, by the time you know, because I get recommended talent all the time. And I was thinking about it. Someone's always like, I got the best guy for this. I got the best barber in town here. I got the best tech wizard here. Best fucking crypto researcher here. Every time someone's given me a recommendation with high praise and high blandishment, I've always been sorely disappointed. 10 out of 10 times. The people who've impressed me the most are the unknowns. The unknowns in the back channels, in the bayous. Those motherfuckers always, and you know what the reason is? I'll tell you. The reason is because average people tend, when they find the right mission or the right cause to be in service of, and this is the key point, it's all about the level of dedication to being in service of, always tend to go leaps and bounds beyond what they think they're capable of. Do you realize that every barber on the planet is the best barber when they're cutting Donald Trump's hair? Do you understand that? Motherfucker could go to a barbershop in the pits, in the armpits of Detroit, and a guy who took a Sunday class is going to give him the best, freshest fucking cut of all time. Because he's in service of. Do you understand? It's all about this being in service of. And the thing is that the average ordinary people always perform the best when they have a catalyst. They just need a matchstick to light the fire. And once that's lit, these motherfuckers take quantum leaps through wormholes into other fucking galaxies. I see it every day. I see the people who can push themselves the hardest and the furthest and have the highest upside of transcendence are average, ordinary people. They just don't really have a cause to work for. That's how that works. Also, another cultural milieu that it's very, very under discussed, and this is something that I've worked out. I've teased this bitch out. Here's a here's a real good one for you. I think nobody has really understood the male female relationship dynamic, especially in America. It's a suffering element that a lot of people are trying to work out. I've cracked it. I've cracked it. I understand exactly how to get the type of woman that you're looking for. I know how to do it, and I'm going to tell you how to do it. The cities, especially the coastal cities in America, are everybody in the cities is jaded. Everybody's lovesick, punch drunk, withdrawing off a cocktail of tech, SSRIs. The dopamine tsunami has pretty much blown the circuits and blown the fuses of just about everybody in the major cities. So the major cities in the modern landscape are really just playgrounds where you're supposed to kind of build yourself. You get scars in the cities. It's where you get your heart broken. It's where you kind of build your character in the metropolises. But the way forward, and you're going to find popularity in this down the road. I promise you, this is going to age so well. This is going to age like a cask of sherry wine. Give me 5 years. You're going to start seeing that people who've made a lot of money in the cities and have gotten those battle scars and have kind of had to fight to climb the Jacob's ladder, they're going to start taking their peregrinations wayward into the heartland of America, into the podunk Timbuktu type cities to go get a woman. Because let me tell you the greatest fucking myth that's been perpetuated perennially on these parts of Twitter is that nobody realizes that beautiful women are everywhere in America. Every fucking, you can go to Cody, Wyoming, and I promise you, you can find beautiful women in every fucking city in America. It doesn't matter. It does not matter how uncontacted these lands are. And so what you do is, because life is Broadway and life is a spectacle, you go take your fucking supercar, go take your Rolls Royce and go on a fucking 9-hour road trip into the fucking bowels of America. And just like a parade, just like taking a decorated platform or a float down the fucking street, you are going to look like an archangel appeared in some of these cities. Some of these cities are so uncontacted. They have no, they only see Hollywood on the TV screen. They don't even really see people who are fit, who are well put together, who have money. These are very primitive cultural towns. I'm talking the poor parts of America. But there's beautiful women there that don't have a lot of experience, the type of woman that you're looking for. And if you pull up and you walk through the door and you're a fit dude with money, I don't think you really understand that it looks like, because these people have a very primitive model of reality. It appears like you stretched a portal open with your hands and stepped through it. The hierophany, the belfry, the bell tower is ringing. And for these people, this is very much an ecclesiastical, almost religious experience to have somebody show up in their town driving a fucking $300,000 car. Do you understand the mental imprinting? Nobody, like the gossip that will fucking circulate through the chow halls of just you even driving through there. It's so unknown, so unseen that the imprint is completely everlasting. And so what you do is you just walk up to it, you fucking pull up to a coffee shop. And if there's a girl in there, you think I'm kidding, but you can go test this. You think I'm fucking joking and I'm not. You can literally gesture, because these all these girls in these towns are dying to get out. They want to go see the big city. They want to get on airplanes. They want to sit shotgun in a car that ungoverned goes 200 miles an hour. You can literally take any woman out of the fucking workforce. Girls working at a diner, you can literally tell her to come with you. She'll quit right then and there and get in the fucking front seat with you. And now you're Bonnie and Clyde. And this is what's going to happen. This is where the culture, and I'm early to this is where the culture is 1,000% headed. And it blows me away that people aren't doing this. All of you want these low body count women that don't have a lot of experience. They're all there. You know what I'm saying? They're in Moscow, Idaho. They're down there. You just got to go get them. You know what I'm saying? And this ethic, by the way, it has been the American way forever. When a man wanted a woman, he would just go get her, literally. Not bam bam Flintstonian caveman style beat her over the head with a club taker, but a little bit of charm. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of cowboy charm. And these women would be happy to leave their fucking dining job to go take a trip with a brusque, fucking Hollywoodian, urbane lunatic. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I've been saying for the longest time that it shocked me that there was no discourse around men rescuing women from the workforce. I truly believe that's the way forward for men in general. Is it's like the biggest benevolence you could give to society and the natural order and the world at large is taking women out of the workforce and showing them a better way. Because I believe anyway, on a biological level, a woman working a job like that, even though she has ends to meet and bills to pay, it's really just a billboard. They work those jobs because they know foot traffic is coming in. You don't think that like subconsciously they're waiting for a Zephyr to appear and fucking take them home? Of course they are. You know what I mean? It's just like a billboard. It's just a non-digital version of Tinder. These girls are working these jobs, they're waitresses, because subconsciously they're praying some fucking stud's gonna roll up there one day and get them the fuck out of there. Like Delta Force. And it's you're playing the game on easy street when you have money. Because these towns are littered with junk cars on the side of the road, at Tito's Motor Yard. These trucks take like 3 minutes to start in these neighborhoods. And you pull up with your cattle pinned under the moonlight. When I say cattle, I mean fucking 700 horsepower. You're absolutely shocking, throwing a shockwave on the town. And so these small, like poor shanty towns, they all are littered with chicks with good genetics. All of them. Every single one of them. You're never gonna find a town that is barren or scarce of pretty girls. Tell you that for a fucking fact. Another thing that I wanted to address is I've been getting a lot of DMs and kind of a motif that's been ever present recently. High achieving men seem to get themselves in spots in long term relationships with their girls where there's sort of a stalemate and they're getting into conflicts and a lot of arguments with their partner. And people will come to me and they're like, how is this? Why is this happening? My frame's good. I'm a provider. I pay all the bills. I'm a hardcore adventurer, though. I'm a little bit unstable. I'm a little bit shambolic in my lifestyle. Um, And what I want to explain to you guys is that whenever you're in a conflict with a woman that you've been with for a while, typically if a woman is starting a lot of arguments with you, especially arguments that you can't win, um, there's been some sort of wound in trust. You've broken her trust in some way. And so what happens is, and this is the brilliance of the female mind. The brilliance of the female mind is that it understands that a lot of times you actually win by purposely losing. And what I want to share with you is that when you are constantly battling with a woman and she's always quote unquote starting shit with you, what you need to understand is that the way that women exhibit freedom, the way that the female species showcases a slice of freedom to basically communicate to you in not so many words that they still have dominion and ownership of themselves and they haven't fully submitted, is they will get into an argument with you. But what you're not understanding is that when they argue with you, they want to lose. They're trying to lose the argument. And this is what throws a lot of men off, is they're trying to win on the unwinnable. A woman will purposely lose and flagellate herself to show you that you can't win. They have no problem losing an argument on purpose. And one of the most common ways, a huge tell, let me give you a huge tell that your relationship is on the ropes. All right. When you're communicating with a woman, and this is a ruse that I think dates back, it's an ancient fucking ruse, but you don't really see it in literary terms because you have to have a keen eye to pick up on it. I know many of you can recall a time where you're jabbering back and forth, and a woman will tell you, they will alter the timestamp in real time and tell you that you said something before they said something, and that's why they retaliated. And you'll go, no, 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 no. You just modified that. I said this first, and then you started it there. But they'll purposely change the timestamp. They know that they said the comment to you first to fuck with you, to make you seem crazy. But you remember clear as day. You have a vivid memory that 3 minutes ago you said that comment first, but they'll say you said it first. That is a telltale sign that you are with a woman who is completely self-sabotaging and trying to destroy herself to show freedom. And this is a broadband capacity that women have. I've said it before. There's a reason why when women get out of relationships, they put on weight. That's also a showcasing of freedom. It's my body. I can destroy it all I want as a fuck you to men. When women go really hard on tats and piercings, that's another fuck you to men. Fuck you. You can't control me. I can be as grotesque and I can be whatever the fuck I want to be. So self-destruction is the medium that women uh, do their Picassos on to showcase freedom. And so when you're in a situation, in a relationship where a woman is always starting losing arguments with you, just understand that what she's screaming for, pleading with you on, is that she is trying to phase out of the relationship and trying to get her slice of freedom back. And when you're the weaker being in the equation, the way that you achieve that is by purposely losing, which is a very sneaky way of winning in a lot of cases. Because if you can't directly win and this person's just going to keep losing, almost by proxy, you just lost, my friend. All right, I'm gonna take a fucking 2 second break. Saw these guys. We gotta do the Q&A. You guys know the Q&A is fun as fuck. I prefer to I'd like to get somebody up here that's really struggling with a relationship thing because we just really haven't had the chance to explore that live on air. And if you are articulate and you can really articulate a problem you're going through, I guarantee you that we can fucking break some serious ground and jackhammer some principles that are going to really help all the listeners here. Because I can troubleshoot anything. Let's get Manny up here. Motherfucker disappeared. What do you know? Yo, Blaine.
What's up, Brute? How you doing, man?
What's up, baby?
I'm doing. Dude, I wanted to. This isn't really a question. I mean, I could ask a question, but I wanted to say, like, I'm from a small town, like one of those podunk towns you were talking about.
Tell me I'm wrong.
It, no, you're not fucking wrong, bro. That's been my, like, my mission since I was in that town. I was like, I'm gonna leave, and that's exactly what I did. And I'm not saying I'm like a millionaire or anything, but I make like multiple six figures a year. But even at that, dude, when you stroll back into those towns,
It's
you're like a
over.
fucking hero. Like
Literally.
you're exactly right. You fucking nailed it on the head. It's crazy.
It's crazy, man, that discourse has just kind of been siloed, you know? I think we unearthed it today, though. I think bells are ringing in people's heads because it's a big one. It's a big one,
Oh
and
yeah, it's a power
it's
play.
it's extremely effective. I
Hmm.
appreciate it, though, man.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say, bro. Take
Yep.
care.
Mr. Liam G. Morris.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
How's it going, Brute?
What's up, baby? Talk to us.
Uh, young man, kind of going through some struggles right now, living in a shithole. But right now I'm just in no position to be having a kid.
No
Uh,
position to what?
to be having a kid, like a baby.
But you are.
Not 100% right now, but it looks like it.
Uh,
What would you do in my position? Because,
what's that mean? Because you can't be a little bit pregnant. You either are or you're not. So is she or not?
well, her period's late by a few days, and she's like pretty adamant about it.
Uh,
Yeah,
few days.
like 5 days.
Okay. I mean, that's nothing. But what's the question? What if?
Well, like we've talked about it, like you know, we both want to do it, but our parents are like strongly against us having it at this age. So
How old are you?
I'm 25, she's 20.
Okay. What's the question?
Well, I don't know. I just wanted some wisdom.
If it's true,
No, I wanted your wisdom. Like if you're at that age and you felt like maybe you weren't ready to have a kid, what would you do?
I've said this on other shows. I don't think any man is ever ready for children. It's something that has to happen organically. Um, I mean, I'm a father to two children, and I can tell you that it never changed the course or my destiny whatsoever as far as like stylistically the way which I approach life has been pretty much the exact same. I do believe that it's should not be interfered with um, at all. I would 100% embrace it and rock with it if it does happen because it's dude, as a man you really got to learn how to climb the hill like a Sherpa with monkeys on your back. That's just you just have and the world unfortunately has a dearth of this in the modern realm. Like there's really no it's so easy to do things solo But I do think having kids, it's kind of like sewing, it sews itself into your limbs, and it's just a supercharger, man. Like I don't really understand the context of someone saying they're not ready to have kids. Financially, they're dirt cheap. I mean, they drink fucking breast milk for the first year plus. They're just, I mean, diapers, like, not that hard to manage a kid. Maybe mentally and emotionally and psychologically it is. But if you're using finances as a fucking reason, I think that's bullshit.
But she's more stressed about her parents' kind of judgment because they had kids pretty late and they're like very religious, and she's always telling her like, don't do anything, don't have sex. She's just very like brainwashed.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, that's where you come into play, my friend. Is that, and I've said this before as well, is that as a man, especially if you're going to be the father, your role as a man is to eclipse the role of her father in many ways. So you should be the one doing the programming, not her parents.
100%.
You
All
know what
right,
I mean?
appreciate that. Appreciate that, Bruce.
Yep. Peace. Yo, Colin,
What's up, man?
what's up?
I just wanted to touch on a couple things. I don't have any big relationship type things, so I'll keep it moving there.
Hmm.
But I just thought it was kind of hilarious in terms of prediction wise. You know, you can listen back to some of your old spaces. One of the old spaces you said, yeah, crypto is going to tank soon. What happens later? It tanks. I think your thing that you started off the space with the insanity thing, you can even see that in mainstream stuff. Look at Walter White and Breaking Bad. All of the cards were against him. All he had to do was walk into a grocery store naked, and then it's a get out of jail free card. Um, but I just wanted to throw it out there. I feel like the culture now is kind of weird. I wanted to see if you had any other predictions going forward because back in COVID era, the main thing was the better yourself, the 75 hard, the Goggins type, and then now that's kind of washed. Now things have progressed to everything is microplastics, nothing is safe, and people don't want to latch onto that because it's pretty gay. But I just didn't know. I feel like a lot of the people that are floaters that try to attach their personality to stuff, it's kind of like a weird waiting period right now. Like there's nothing really dominating the mainstream. Just want to see if you had any predictions for that or what it's gonna look like going forward.
Overall, man, I think the pirate archetype has imputed itself. I think the pirates are just back in general. I think that anything groundbreaking, anything innovative is coming from pirate types. And what I mean by that is, I think that every company that is flourishing is just it's just a fucking band of pirates. You know, in wartime, every ship becomes a pirate ship. Navy is a peacetime phenomenon, and a lot of people don't understand this. Navy is a peacetime phenomenon. At war, every ship becomes a pirate ship. And so what I'm saying is that companies, even Google, everybody seems to think that in order to achieve something glorious in life, that you need some sort of fucking super team. I think we've seen enough evidence through sports and through companies in general that super teams really don't always work. There's a blockage in the chemistry. You know what I'm saying? And so it kind of goes back to my point about the ordinary people. The best companies are starting with a bunch of fucking unemployed, chronically unemployed, dejected, rejected, exiled pirates who are just in a room and can make stuff happen, running super fucking lean. I think that that's the future that we're looking at here, is that we are in somewhat of a non-peacetime in the sense that everything in America, everything in life is up for grabs as we speak. There's a lot of buried treasure that's been undiscovered. And I just think that there's a lot. See, here's the thing, man. Here's my biggest prediction. My biggest prediction is that the networking style that all these bumbling gurus talk about getting into the best nightclubs, and they have this top down approach, like you got to grease elbows with the big shooters in order to get to the top. I think that's complete nonsense. I think that you as a man, and everybody listening on the show right now, doesn't even realize that you have the armory. The armory is in your bedroom. Like, you can armor up right now. You can go get your armamentarium. You can go get all your heavy artillery. Is just you and your friends. You and your friends, even the biggest losers that you know, if you all get them together and you all are striving towards a common mission, you can do insane, incredible things in the modern world. So I have a bottom up networking approach where I believe that every single motherfucker has the resources, the capital, the strength, the firepower, the fucking eclat, the esprit. It's all there under your nose as you speak. You just got to reach out and grab it. And I think a lot of people are afraid to do that. Um, and so that's just where I see the culture headed, man. Is the Pirates are going to be fucking winning for a very long time to come. Because a pirate is, and when I say pirate, people probably don't understand what I'm saying, and I'll elucidate it for you. It's a multifactorial type of personality. The pirate is someone who can be aristocratic, who can be poetic, who is not necessarily incompetent, not even necessarily illiterate, but it's also someone who doesn't really mind getting in the mud and hot footing around into the caves for gold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Also, even from the aesthetic point of view, I think the culture is reverting. I think the immaculate look is fading. I think people who got veneers and people who are doing hair transplants are going to be very, very sorely sorry in a couple years. I think that um, the cowboy pirate shit is coming back, bro. You know, bro, cowboys and pirates and shit used to get crazy amounts of women with like literally gold teeth. Gold was a fucking dental modification for a very long time. Gold teeth, splintered cracks in their fucking eyebrows, fucking wooden peg legs, parrot on the shoulder. All that type of shit's coming back. Like men who look really fucking battle worn and battle scarred. I think that shit's coming back. I've had a lot of wealthy crypto guys reach out to me, and they're so bored. They're like, do I get veneers? What kind of like modifications do I make aesthetically? And I'm like, dude, you are going down a very treacherous road, my friend, if you start thinking about doing that type of shit. It's all gonna phase out. People aren't really responding well to the sterilized aesthetic anymore. I really do think the grunge is coming back
Do
strong.
you do you feel like on the topic of like the super teams and stuff not working, do you feel like that I guess like an example that I could say is sometimes you get a group of people and they all know that it's some super team, but I feel like their creativity instantly nukes because now they know they're working with these big guns and they want to like run what their ideas are by everyone else, and everyone kind of conforms to like a gray mold. Like nobody's really doing their own thing, or creativity doesn't happen with those super players. Whereas when you're at the bottom, like you said, everyone's just free to do their thing, and that's where the magic happens. Do you feel like
Exactly.
that's
Exactly, dude. It's very similar to when you're building a company. The dumbest thing you can do is go raise a fuckload of capital because that stifles your creativity. The best companies started running super fucking lean, and you go get capital as you go and as it's a needed demand. That's the best way to start anything. See, the beauty of being a man and the essence of masculinity in general and getting camaraderie in a group of men together is that the essence of being a man is making something from nothing. That is what being a man is. Starting every day with nothing and making something from nothing. That is fucking masculinity. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
sometimes you have to be a shepherd, and you have to shepherd your farm. You have to get the people around you exuberant and on the mission. And the thing is that a lot of people don't even understand this, that all the biggest companies that are currently thriving and engulfing society got in spots numerous times where they were they were literally on their last legs, and it was like a wire that came in the 12th hour is what saved the company. Like, being a man is the best part about being a man is making something from nothing. It's just a very slight flutter of your wings sometimes, and you create the dust devil. And when I say making something of nothing, I'm talking about punching above your weight. You know what I'm saying? The ugly, ghoulish hunchback wearing sweatpants who fucking bags a billionaire heiress daughter in New York City. That's a fucking spectacle. That's a man making something from nothing. The guy who runs up to Solana into 5,000 Solana. Like, there's a reason why these stories reverberate
Makes
through
sense,
society.
man.
Through society, it's all about making something from nothing. So yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. Is like all the resources are here now, but you have to be an alchemist. You have your army. It's a pirate army. You know, and I guess that's what I'm saying, dude, is in a leadership position, if you have any leadership sensibility about you at all, you can really rally the people around you and the resources that I've never seen anybody you cannot run through all your resources. Like, it would take 50 lifetimes for even the biggest loser on the planet to run through all the resources. It's just endless. I'm even convinced that time is renewable in a lot of ways. People are always like, time is the one thing you can't get back. I'm not so sure about that one. I think even time you can get back in many ways. But that's a topic for another day. I'll probably do a long form post on it.
Gotcha.
Anyway, man.
You can keep it rolling. I appreciate you answering the question, man.
Mm-hmm. Yo, Alex. Uh-huh.
I got girl problems for you, man. I just had the craziest experience the past 3 days.
Go.
So I'm traveling in a van, and I actually met a girl also traveling in a van at a national park. And we've just been hanging out for like 3 days straight. I convinced her to drive 200 miles in the opposite direction of where she was heading next. And we hung out there. And a couple nights ago,
Wait, so that was a caravan? Like, she followed you?
yeah, like in both of our van conversions.
Okay.
Um, and so I went in to kiss her a couple nights ago. We were laying under the stars and like talking about deep shit. And we kissed for a bit and she pulled away and she's like, I can't do this. Like, I have a guy that I've been seeing for like months. And it's like a close family friend and someone she's built like a lot of rapport with.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the question I'm asking is, I'm right now I'm trying to process the experience and put it into boxes so I can reference that in the future. And she like that night she talked to this guy on the phone, stayed on the phone with him. They like fell asleep together on the phone. And the next morning we still like hung out and went to another park. And she just left a bit ago, headed off into her direction. And what I'm trying to figure out in my brain is I'm trying to process, is it too much for me to expect to break the bond energy of months of experience with a guy in like 3 days? And should I process this as like, damn, like some girls can be really loyal and that's something that's kind of like nice to think about? Or should I process it as, maybe I could have been less nervous when I was talking to her initially. Maybe I could have done this better. Maybe I could have, done this or that, or like adapted how I did it to create that spike that would be needed to break that bond energy of another relationship.
Yeah,
So
it's a
my
good
question is, how how should I process that, and what box should I put that in?
process it emotionally. Like you've resigned yourself that this is done, right? You have no
Yeah.
desire to pursue it. It's just it was a one and done.
Yeah, after she talked to that dude all night, I think he kind of got freaked out and needed that reassurance, so they stayed on the phone for like the whole night when she was sleeping next to me in the van next to me. And yeah, she was just saying, so I kind of flipped the brakes. I stopped, like, you know, I stopped like trying to make moves. I didn't want to like be available after kind of that fork. So I was kind of just talking to her like a friend, and like talking about how I go about talking to girls, and like I don't know, I wasn't talking to her anymore as if like I was trying to pursue her. And she was kind of starting to do the same. And we were in the laundromat the next day doing our laundry, and she was just saying like, telling me how much she likes this dude and that she could like have his kids and stuff. So I think, you know, if anything, I serve towards advancing a relationship that could be very positive, that maybe wouldn't have been advanced had I not been in the equation. But I guess the main thing I'm trying to figure out is like,
No,
maybe not process it.
that relationship's toast, my brother.
Oh
That's
yeah.
that, that's done.
Oh, with her and the other
You
dude, you're saying?
fuck yeah, you just threw a fucking wild wrench into that train because the guilt she's gonna go back to with that guy is gonna be so pronounced. She's not gonna be able to suffocate it. It's gonna rear its ugly head in other ways. Likely gonna sabotage the fuck out of that one as well.
Yeah. The thing is, like, like, he's liked her for months and like hasn't like made a move or anything. I think she told me they just like cuddled and watched movies a few days before they left,
The
before she left.
fuck?
Yeah. So I'm like, did I like our girls? Can women? This is what I'm trying to process. I'm like, that's sweet as hell if she's like turning me down and I'm like making moves because she like has it bad for this dude, you know? So I'm trying to figure out, wow, should I feel like in the future I can find a woman that's like super committed, or or do I just have shit game? So I'm trying to organize like my thought process in the future, if that makes sense.
No, definitely shit game. I mean, you look, man, you caught her in Narnia for a second. She was in she was in an outer realm where basically there was infinite possibility, and you just caught her in like a time warp where that was acceptable in that instance. But then obviously there was a snap back to reality, and that reflex. That guy is 1,000% Dunzo. That thing. It might last for years or months, but eventually she's gonna fucking clap it for sure. She's gonna fucking clap it. And I think actually you'll probably be the remembered force in this equation. Um, because like you said, you were able to unbind in 3 days what this guy has apparently been attempting for months, which is a whole nother animal to wrestle with. But
That's
um,
true. It's a hard
yeah,
reality, but it's like that's what I'm looking for. I want to know the truth.
you want to be the guy. You want to be the other guy, is what I hear you saying. You want to be the guy that the woman is pining after. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Um, well, kind of, but part of me is also like I'm big into Taoism and like letting water flow where there's the least resistance. And it's like I can still get other girls, and like if there's something really good there, I don't want to fuck it up. But I also don't want to like be trying to paint these pretty rainbows in my head and be like, "Oh, I'm setting her up for a great relationship." And like I guess I'm just trying to process it and be like,
No. If you're reframing this that you were somehow a benevolent force towards furthering somebody else's relationship, I think you're definitely off the mark. You were you were disruptive. But that's also kind of the way of the land, man. That's the coin of the realm. That's also the way of the universe. I mean, obviously you did nothing wrong from a moral perspective. Um, she's the one who has to live with it, but I don't think you could have done anything differently.
That's what I'm that's what I'm trying to figure out in my head.
But no, dude, you didn't side construct like some fucking marvelous family that's gonna fucking spring from this in my in
Yeah.
my eyes. Yeah. You were
Yeah.
not a watering force in that capacity at all.
Yeah, that's probably true. Um, cool. Yeah, I think that's kind of my main question. I think the big one was I'm trying to think, could I have done something differently, or do I just have shit game, to be honest? And maybe it's a balance of both, it sounds like.
It's probably a balance of both, and then obviously her being real with you about the other guy and having you pull back was clearly a test that I think you failed with flying colors.
Yeah, could be, man.
I mean, you already had your foot in the door, and then it was really easy to get you to back down. I probably would have tested the limits with that a little bit better, for sure.
Yeah, true, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. Dr. Sneeze,
How we doing, bro?
how we doing?
I had a question. It's not actually. Can I switch a little bit topic to like just you being a parent? I had a question about that.
Yeah, go for it.
Maybe a while back on Spaces, you were mentioning being able to raise kids. You know how one you could raise them the exact same way. One ends up one way, and the other a completely different way. And you talked about letting them be themselves. How do you sort of manage that by still being able to parent them, but also, actually still letting them be themselves?
I mean, I just look at parenting as being on a safari. Your job is really just to point out things that are lying beyond the bushes that are not readily available to the eye. And so basically, you're a tour guide, you know. Um, you point things out and you notice things. And that's really, really honestly the end limits of your ability as a parent. And then it's their job to process that information and glean whatever they can from it. But I don't think that the boundaries of being a parent go any further than that. It's look, I've been on this voyage before. There's an iceberg over here. You know, this pond over here is teeming with alligators. It's pointing out observations and basically imparting wisdom. And that's really all that you can hope to do in
And
my
hope,
eyes.
yeah,
And
and
that's
hope
that
and hope that they
and that
understand
really
it.
is the function is you got to see it as that you're on a safari. And if there's a fucking if you see the tiger laying over there, you know, by the wooded vine, then you're going to fucking point that out. But it's because life is a jungle. And obviously, as a parent, you've got a sharper, keener eye than your kids do. And you're going to see things. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see the toucans eating fucking whatever the fuck they're eating at the top of the fucking high canopies of the jungle. And you can just point that out. And that's really just, it doesn't go further than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, it makes sense because I just talked about the balance of having to figure out where it's like you don't want to be too much because sometimes when it's like too strict, right? They end up kind of backlashing and just kind of going out on their own. So it's just kind of an interesting to balance, but that makes sense.
Definitely. It is a delicate dance for sure. Um, but yeah, man, it's really just safety, comfort, and wisdom. Those are like the three big ones.
Got it. Got it.
Let's see what we got. Yo, Jay,
Yo, what's up, bro?
what's up, man?
Just to go back on that Kanye tangent.
Yep.
When I originally seen Kanye going on that tweeting spree, I think the normie assumption is, this guy's got a mental illness or he's just a racist. My initial thought was kind of like yours. I don't think the guy's mentally sick at all.
No, not at all.
I think he's just kind of thinking up the craziest thing you can say just to prove that no motherfucker can tell him what to do. It's essentially saying you can't put shackles on him. I just wanted to ask, like, what is your thoughts on that? Am I way off with that? You seem to think that it's an act of defense. You just kind of go deeper into that.
Oh, I do think I think it's a defense mechanism of the highest order for sure. Like I said, man, when you get that level of power, freedom definitely gets taken away from you. And I do think that he has some paranoia or some threat that, the cabals are gonna fucking gun for him. And so what I think is having that loose tongue, which he's kind of pushing the Overton with this. It what it does is it backs. He's basically it's a snake bite. You know what I mean? Waiting to happen. He's basically insinuating that if you come after him, he's gonna fucking um, dump on you. You know what I'm saying? He's pretending like he holds the secrets to the universe and knows what's going on in the back halls of these fucking elitist rooms, and so he's just backing people off. He's begging for a fight. He's begging for a fight, but it's defensive in nature. It's clear as day to me. But yeah, it's a total dude. The whole insanity thing is completely fake. Dude's as lucid as anybody.
Yeah, no, definitely a smart guy. Appreciate you clearing that up.
Yep. Peace. Oh, by the way, another little thing on that is that even though he's faking it, even though Kanye is faking the whole insanity thing, I do believe that the fake one that you pull off was the real one the entire time. And the real one that you try that doesn't work was the fake one. I'll say that again. You cannot fake anything in life. You cannot. Because if the fake one works, it's the real one. And if the real one, quote unquote, the authentic one falls short, that was the fake one the entire time. Whichever thing works effectively is the real one. So, in many ways, he has become insane because he faked it so well that it's now the real thing. Just wanted to point that out because that actually extrapolates to a lot of other things.
Hmm. Where do you think this guy even goes from here? Like, does he just keep playing the insanity card?
Well, it goes back to something that I'm the only one who's been saying this for years, and people DM me all the time with like proof and evidence that this is true. It goes back to my whole thing about, um, I think he wants to destruct the entire empire. He does. He wants to lose. He wants to pull the whole thing down to zero, to start over. He wants to do that. It's just the problem is it's similar with Elon. Is like all these guys bite off so much more than they can chew, and they try to self destruct, but the destiny is too embossed in the stars that they really can't interfere with it. It's like it's a similar concept to how like you can try to lose, but sometimes you keep winning. Like if you're in a relationship with a chick that you really want to shake and get her off your tail, but she's really in love with you, you can literally purposely start being beta and start doing shit that's going to try to sabotage it. And for some reason, she just keeps falling in love with you harder. Or like getting a job, subconsciously, you want to get fired and you start doing fucking, you start going off the rails and doing shit off script. It's like some you'll just wake up one day and you'll get a phone call and you're promoted. Like you're trying to get fired, but you just like keep going up the ladder. That's a very common phenomenon that I see amongst a lot of these people is like their self-destructive tendencies can't even override fate itself. Fate just continues to blow steam under their wings and it just keeps carrying them. And I think that's a problem for Kanye as well. Like, I don't think he really, I don't think he could do anything in his power to destroy what he's built. Reputationally, sure, but fundamentally, the guy's always going to have access to serious bread.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things, man, where it's very counterintuitive. Where a lot of times by trying to lose, you win. And yet again, perfect time to what I was telling you earlier about women. When they purposely try to lose those arguments, they also win and find themselves gaining power.
Right.
A lot of these inverse laws and logic are very fucking wicked when you give them a close inspection.
100%. Appreciate that, man.
Yep.
Yo, Brute, I got a question about girls.
What's
Uh,
up?
So I was having a conversation with Blaine last night, the first speaker. We ended up
Hmm.
speaking for an hour, and he's been in a relationship for about 6 months, and he hasn't met the chick's mom. The chick seems to be high IQ. Her mom's a little batshit crazy, and in my experience, like 99.9% of chicks turn into their mother. And sometimes it doesn't happen until they're 30 or 35 or 45. But in your experience, how valid is that?
Did they turn into their mothers physically?
Yeah, physically or even temperamentally.
Temperamentally, man, I think that there's a huge actual schism between daughters and their moms where I think that they go through a very long period of time of mutual resentment, especially in the modern world. I think I've said before, um, this is more my generation, but boomer moms are the first class of women that you see in history that actually resented their daughters and resented their kids and actually tried to sabotage them. But I also think that's pervasive amongst Gen Z mothers as well. Um, and I think that's why a lot of women are getting radicalized. The thing is with moms and daughters is I do think the physical representation is true over time. You look at a woman's mom and you can see pretty much how she's going to age. I think that's true. Temperamentally, though, I don't think that's the case if you interdict the situation with a guy who can earn her entire love. You know what I mean? Because it's women only keep vestiges of their parents' guidance and stuff when they don't have a man. Like, or they're gonna look to the stars or astrology or tarot. There's always gonna be a replacement for the parental superintendents with women. And so it's like a man comes in, like I said before, that's why polarity is so fucking important in relationships. I do believe that it is tabula rasa, and women basically do start every relationship with a blank slate, including the downloads and programming from their parents.
You know what? I actually agree with that. All of the evidence that I found for girls turning into their mother was after they had ran through a variety of other things to latch onto that didn't work and didn't end up with a man. So I think that's fairly accurate. Now, I had one more side note. It's not necessarily related to women, but I do mentor a lot of people in some capacity. And with what I've noticed, I think the biggest thing that you represent that you don't necessarily speak about is being on your own team. I think a lot of people that look for mentorship in some way, they live in a state of doubt or insecurity or fear or self sabotage, and they're not entirely on their own team. And given your story and given how you've been forced to be on your own team and wake up and hunt every day, I think the marrow that the people that listen to these spaces try to extract is the wisdom of just listening to somebody who has been on their own team for decades.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's ironic because I've learned more about leadership being on my own than I ever did working in teams. Because you just have to move so differently. You know what I mean? You got to be fucking stealthy. You got to sometimes fucking move like a fucking coyote. You're hunching, you're fucking looking around corners. It's a learning how to govern yourself is the ultimate leadership trait that just bleeds out. And so because I absolutely have been master and commander of myself for so long, leading other people is just a fucking brisk walk in the park. but yeah, the center, the locus of control is within me. And what I hear you saying, and this is another point that I wanted to make, is I always want to reiterate that the events and circumstances around you as a man don't mean anything. It doesn't matter what's going on in your life. It doesn't matter how fucked up things are, how fucked up your life is. The only thing that matters is your state of being. Because if your state of being is in check, there's no amount of stress or circumstances or events that are coming down on you that can break you. It's just that simple. All of those things will wilt in your presence. Those events will back the fuck up in your presence as you walk through them. And so the only focus as a man should really be on your state of being. Problems are completely neutralized and don't exist to the man who has the correct state of being. I mean, you can name the most horrific horror show litany of events that are happening in a man's life. And if your state of being is correct, it really is neutralized. It only gets under your skin when your state of mind's bad. So
I
it's
agree.
never the events that are going on in your life. I always cut people off. My mentees, when they're telling me about shit that's going on, I'm like, dude, none of that shit matters. It's your complete state of being that is going to get you through this.
And I think the zeitgeist right now is a current state of young males who don't even really have too much going on circumstantially, but are left to sit with themselves in the wrong, poor, negative state of being. And they don't have the circumstances to sort of shock them into a different state of being. And so they're lost in this limbo, this purgatory. Would you agree?
I would agree. And I would agree. And I would critique this. There's a huge sentiment going on too. There's a huge push. People are very obsessed with energy and focusing on fucking people are obsessing over energy and how do I get more energy, and energy is this, energy is that, I got to eat the right foods to get energy. Dude, that's all bullshit too, because the biggest fucking X factor in all this is learning how to take action and how to make moves when you don't have any energy. That's the real skill. And I talk about this on every fucking space, and I find different metaphors to put on the table because I just know that I'm dead on fucking accurate with this shit. The idea that someone truly believes they're going to change the trajectory of their life by eating the correct foods is just so goddamn asinine to me that it really fucking makes me climb out of my fucking chair in an air clawing rave of anger because it's so off the fucking mark. It's so goddamn off the mark. Energy is a spiritual thing. It all has to do with the ghostly spirit that resides within you. That's what really actually takes you to the next level. The body itself, sure, you can fuel it with the proper foods and blah 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 blah. That's all fine and dandy. But if you don't have the spirit underneath in the chassis, you know what I mean? That's the problem. These people want to strengthen the chassis. And my whole thing is you don't get to change the chassis in your life. You can fuck with the engine, you can fuck with a lot of other parts, but your chassis is your chassis. And whatever spirit you got in there, you got to learn how to work with. And so I know for a fact that energy is a spiritual principle. 1,000%. It is completely within the heart. Whatever the fucking grandfather clock makings of the fucking heart make the heart beat, that is fucking where energy comes from. You know, the meat and the bones in the potato, like that is just sort of fucking all adjacent.
Don't you
Yeah.
think there's some layer? It seems like there's a filmy layer for most people that prevents them from even contacting or connecting with that spirit because they're so focused on the externals, because they're so focused on, the engine or the transmission. And what would you say to people that have a hard time tuning into that spirit, or so caught up in the external that they can't really connect with it?
Well, so here's where this bottlenecks, and there's no pun intended there. This bottlenecks because the only true way that I've ever seen the spirit get ignited, and this is just the truth, is trauma. And it starts from an early age. Some people are basically traumatized, even at a micro level. It doesn't matter what it is, but my definition of trauma is any lack of nurturing. And for whatever reason, that ignites some people's spirits and turns the pilots on, and those pilot lights never turn off. But like, the cockpit of life itself is very relatively simple. People think that there's glowing buttons and glowing dials and exotic switches that need to be pressed, and that's really not the case. You know what I mean? The cockpit of life is like very much a boolean. It's a boolean structure, meaning like it's a yes no clause. You either accept shit or you reject shit as a man. That's really the only way to operate the system of being a man is accept or decline. Two things. There's no glowing buttons, there's no switches, everyone's looking for some fucking magic golden bullet, hidden talent somewhere. None of that exists. You accept or decline your way through life. It's very binary in that regard. But I do know from my own experience as someone, because I've been experimenting for the last 6 months, my diet has been horrendous on purpose. I've completely disregarded carnivore. I've gone completely off the rails. I have zero decrease in cognition, zero decrease in my lifting, zero decrease in anything. Zero. So I know that energy is a spiritual thing. And so you can, like I said, you can put new tires on the whip. These guys can do this shit all they fucking want. Rotate and balance the tires. Go for it. Repaint the hole. Not gonna do anything for you. If you don't have the spiritual energy, there's nothing no amount of fucking injections or fucking diet is gonna fix anything for you. Period. The end.
Wonderful conversation, my
And
man.
by the
Until next
way,
time.
like I said, that is also why I'm such an advocate for people that don't have that spiritual energy to put themselves in situations that are overwhelming, because that's your best chance at getting jumper cables and maybe starting something within your system that you didn't know was there. That is the beauty of that tactic. You know what I mean? For anybody listening who maybe is bored or has no energy or no spiritual force or no vitality, it's just simply because there's just not enough on your plate. And so what happens is, and this is kind of how I connected all these pieces together in the jigsaw puzzle, is that a lot of talents that you have as a man, you will never know you have until there's trauma inflicted upon you or until there's enough pressure to where those things will burst forth from the seams. A lot of those things are in hidden compartments and hidden chambers. And you have to drill very, 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 very deep down to the nickel core of the earth within your soul to access these cabinets. And that is when a lot of the talents and a lot of the things that burst forth from you that were there the entire time you had no idea they existed, those things are only going to come out when you're facing a monumental task that you don't even know if you can accomplish. It's all in you. That's why I said there's no such thing as seeking a skill, because you are already reupholstered by nature to combat whatever challenges come your way. Everybody is cosmically designed to overcome a certain challenge in their own domain. Your job is to find that domain, because the pressure of cracking whatever code is coming at you in that domain is what's going to unlock all that latent talent that's already in your spirit. So the only way to access that is to do crazy shit that's off the wall and put yourself in situations where you have to escape or think extremely fucking creatively, or you feel like the walls are caving in on you. That's typically when these things spring to life.
Yeah, you're not going to find it. You've got to create it.
You
It's
have to
like you
look.
said, it's yes or no. You have to go seek it. You're not just going to be sitting on the couch one day and be like, oh, I've got my fucking mission.
Exactly, dude. You're not gonna be sitting on the couch, one day and all of a sudden you're the next Beethoven. That's not how it's gonna work. You're gonna find that through some kind of labyrinthine fucking maze. As you navigate it, those things are gonna come forward, and it's all natural. And so my thing is, my whole shtick is about finding what's natural within you. But the only way to find what's natural within you is to have your survival be under threat, and that's a fact. Which means like you have to be in a situation where you feel enough doom. The sword of Damocles is being held over your head, and that's going to kind of make you summon whatever's been dormant in you. That's it. That's your best shot at jump starting the cables of the spirit. And that is an infinite well of energy. It has nothing to do with nutrition at all. It's a spiritual principle.
I think you just said it right there. What's dormant within you? A lot of the guys that are lost are unaware of how much power and gold they're actually sitting on. So if
That's
they can
it,
become
man.
aware that they have this dormant ability, they just need to bring it out. And bringing it out is a proactive choice. They could get on step one.
And the best way to do that is risky behavior. Simple as that. You have to put nature to the test. You have to show God that you're willing to fucking clash your horns. You know what I mean? You got to really stick your chest out and show nature, because nature doesn't actually, I don't believe in this whole fucking nonsensical trope that when you take on a grand quest or treat your life like a challenge that God is going to test you and put obstacles in front of you. I think it's the exact opposite. I think Ganesh, that elephantine god, Hindu god, the luck maker. I think Ganesh, he's the remover of obstacles in Hindu culture. I think that motherfucker's on your side when you decide to take on a heroic quest. I think obstacles actually dissolve and get removed. The barricades get taken out of your way. The garrisons fall apart. The barracks open. You know what I mean? The heaviest gates start opening for you with even without a key. You just have to make the commitment, and I think nature will make the miracles happen. And that's not even woo woo. That has nothing to do with new age. That is a genuine thing. That is a quantum mechanic of you staring into the fucking abyss and realizing how shallow that motherfucker is. Everyone thinks the abyss is so deep and so fucking nebulous, you know? You look into the abyss and there's that play of color effect where you're looking at different angles and the colors are changing. All of that goes away once you actually step inside and take a peek. You know what I mean? There's a feather bed awaiting you when you jump in the abyss. Everybody thinks it's a long fall to your death, but it's actually there's a feather bed waiting for you once you make the leap.
It's an inch
And
deep and a mile wide.
100%, man. So nature will remove obstacles once you make the commitment. But you also can't manufacture that and you can't fake it.
Can't fake
And
it.
and when I say make the commitment, I mean that you have to go into something so deep that there actually is no turning back. That's the hardest part for people. And man, I there's a fucking account on Twitter. I forget what the name is right now. It's one of the gayest accounts I've ever seen. But basically, this guy drools over mansions all fucking day long and talks about mansions and fucking you got to get a mansion and $50 million mansions and shit. And I look at that shit, and it really fucking made itself clear to me that people set goals. People set goals so that they never hit them. I'm going to say that again. People set goals so that they never hit them. It's a fear mechanism. Whenever I see someone who's obsessed with hitting a goal, I got to get this car, I got to get this mansion, I got to lose 20 pounds. What you are doing is you are a terminal endpoint seeker. You are setting an invisible boundary ahead of you in time and space, and you are now purposely going to creep and crawl and goon around so that you don't hit it. And if you do hit it, you're going to make sure that you do it stretched way the fuck out, and you're going to pace it. You're going to pace yourself so that it happens in like 5 or 6 years, because what's next? What happens when you hit the goal? Everyone wants to set a terminal endpoint of reality when really all the beauty in life is past the Great Divide. You know what I mean? You got to do the evil Knievel ski jump across the Grand Canyon, across the Great Divide, and get to the other side. That's where all the miracles are. So when I see people set goals, I always know they're setting that goal up so that they don't ever hit it. Because what's next when you hit it, right? So the guy who's drooling and gushing over the fucking mansion, I just think that's the lamest thing I've ever heard, because in the modern world, it's a cakewalk to get a fucking mansion. Yeah, you might not have the fucking deed, you might not have the title of the house. Airbnb, there's like a billion creative ways you can find a way to get yourself into a mansion in America, even if you're fucking broke. Goes back to my last spaces when I was talking about how money is low liquidity. It's true. So All the fuck. I mean, look. Have you ever seen a motherfucker with a fucking Lambo on his background picture on his iPhone get one? I haven't.
Nope.
Never happens. Never happens. You've created a monster. You've created a Frankensteinian monster that you don't want to ever face. You will never, ever step up to that final boss because you set that goal. It's a way of protecting yourself and creating a cushy future where you know that you can be lackadaisical, lazy, slow, pace yourself, and you're never going to hit it. It's a fucking beautiful, majestic way to cuck yourself. Goals are absolute fucking nonsense in every single capacity because everything you want in life is further than your wildest imagination could even comprehend in general.
Yo, this is the greatest space you've ever done. If you fuckers agree, hit some reacts in this space. I think this is the best one yet.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, brother.